Hi, I'm Danny Gonzales, and this is IndustrialSage Headlines. The U.S. manufacturing sector contracted again in November. The ISM manufacturing PMI came in at 48.2, down from 48.7 in October, marking the ninth straight month below the 50% growth line. Now, new orders softened to 47.4, and the employment index slipped to 44.0 as companies continue to reduce headcount amid weaker demand and tariff-driven uncertainty. Backlogs, exports, and imports all remained in contraction. There were a few encouraging signs, though, however. Production moved back into expansion at 51.4, which is helped by modest backlog clearing. Customers' inventories also stayed in the too low range, which often signals potential future production increases. Meanwhile, the prices index remained elevated at 58.5, driven by higher costs for steel, aluminum, and electronic components. According to ISM, the broader U.S. economy is still expanding. Manufacturing, however, continues to work through a slower adjustment phase as companies manage shifting demand patterns and persistent cost pressures. Tyson Foods is making major operational changes as cattle supplies continue to tighten nationwide. The company is closing its beef processing plant in Lexington, Nebraska, a facility that employed several thousand workers. The shutdown is expected to take effect in early 2026. Tyson is also eliminating the B shift at its Amarillo, Texas plant, affecting roughly 1,700 workers, according to state and regional reporting. These adjustments reflect ongoing pressure across the protein sector. Drought conditions, limited cattle availability, and higher feed costs have forced companies to rethink their capacity plans and align output with current supply. Tyson said the decisions were difficult but necessary. For equipment suppliers, packaging partners, and cold chain logistics providers, the closures may reduce near-term demand in these regions. For local communities, the changes highlight how volatile the food processing landscape has become as supply conditions continue to shift nationwide. U.S. steel production continued to strengthen in November. According to the American Iron and Steel Institute, mills produced 1.74 million net tons of raw steel during the week ending November 15th, operating at a 76.2% utilization rate. A follow-up report for the week ending November 22nd showed output rising to 1.76 million net tons, with utilization improving to 76.9%. That marks several weeks of steady growth and one of the strongest stretches of production this year. Analysts point to stabilizing demand in automotive, construction, and heavy equipment, along with restocking activity after a softer summer. While pricing for hot-rolled coil remains volatile across trade publications, higher utilization generally signals improving order flow. That can also reduce lead time variability, giving manufacturers a more predictable supply environment as they enter 2026. SK Siltron, the U.S. silicon carbide wafer subsidiary of South Korea's SK Group, is consolidating its Michigan operations following a slowdown in the electric vehicle market. Local reporting confirms that production is being shifted from the Auburn area facility into the Bay City plant. The move follows about 50 layoffs in October, with another 30 expected in early 2026 as part of the consolidation. At the same time, SK Siltron is moving forward with a $2.4 billion expansion in Bay City to increase U.S. capacity for next-generation silicon carbide wafers used in EVs, renewable energy, and industrial power electronics. The project includes a new manufacturing building, upgraded crystal growth systems, and expanded finishing lines. It is supported by a U.S. Department of Energy loan guarantee of more than $500 million, recognizing the strategic importance of domestic SiC materials. Now, SiC stands for silicon carbide, a wide bandgap semiconductor material that is gaining prominence over traditional silicon for high power and high temperature applications. With the expansion, SK Siltron expects to add more than 200 full-time jobs and strengthen U.S. leadership in wide bandgap semiconductor materials. Toyota is shifting production of its Corolla hybrid sedans from Japan to the United States as part of a $912 million investment that will add about 250 jobs across 5 states. The move supports Toyota's broader plan to invest up to $10 billion in U.S. operations over the next 5 years. Strong domestic demand and a new 15% tariff on imported hybrids are pushing the company to bring production closer to the market. The Corolla hybrid will be assembled at Toyota's plant in Blue Springs, Mississippi, which is receiving a $125 million upgrade. Additional hiring will take place in West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Missouri, where Toyota produces hybrid components. The strategy reinforces Toyota's build where we sell philosophy. It also highlights how tariffs and policy shifts are accelerating onshoring for automakers as they work to stabilize supply chains and meet growing hybrid demand. And that does it for today's Industrial Sage Headlines. I'm Danny Gonzales. Thanks for watching.